All right. So, what do you do next?
So
Did you did you expect that much?
no.
All right.
Now coming off and because I was coming off of the hair company and not getting any sales, I kind of just thought it was going to be
you
the
took a humble approach.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a slow leak.
Right.
So I was just preparing to do the work. But it was the entire opposite of what I experienced
How
with
did
my
you
first
feel?
one.
You remember the feeling?
Surreal. Because I'd never seen money like that in my account before, right? Like,
Gotcha. What's going on, good people? Welcome to another episode of First Generation Wealth Builders. So today I have Miss Jaz Jackson with me. Woo!
Don't start. This is about to be the craziest interview.
Nah, we're gonna have fun with it, man. But without further ado, who is Jaz Jackson?
Well, you know, but my name is Jaz Jackson, and I am the founder and creator of J Scope Fitness, which is a e-commerce brand. We specialize in activewear and solutions to help you reach your fitness goals.
Understood. That sounds so professional. Did you practice that elevator pitch before?
I did. Well, you got to practice it when you're meeting people.
Gotcha.
So you got to be able to say it in less than 10 seconds.
As you leveled up, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, as I leveled up.
Okay, gotcha. You gotta have, all right, that's cool. I teach people how to get rental properties for free. Mine's is simple.
See?
You know what I mean?
But that's your elevator pitch.
Boom.
It's like you got to get straight to the point.
Boom, boom. At what point did you find it that you needed to have one for what you did?
Networking, like as I began to go out more and meet people, they would ask what I would do, like what I did for a living. And I was going all around the bush. Like I do, it took me forever to explain exactly what I did. And I didn't like that feeling because I knew it wasn't like proper code.
Sound like you saying a bunch of bullshit.
Right. So I was like, you gotta like tighten this up. So, coming from that world, I was like, here, let me chop this up and just get it straight to the point. So
Understood.
it's necessary.
Got you, man. So to give the people a little bit of context, when did we meet?
I want to say that we met officially. I know I was 25, 26.
Okay.
So that was like 2012, 2013.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you want to tell them how we met?
Well, you know what I'm saying? I had her hair company and I was leveraging YouTube influencers to model my project, and my team sought you out. And then obviously when they make the connection, then I would do the negotiation piece. And the negotiating at the time, that's kind of how we connected.
Yes.
You were up the street. Therefore, I think we invited you to model our product several times. Correct. In Indianapolis.
And when he says up the street, I'm in Chicago. It's not quite up the street.
You told me that the flight, Troy, did she say the flight went like this? You on and you was off.
Yes.
30 minutes. So that's up the street.
It's up the street.
Okay, cool. But since you big money, like you don't do driving no more.
Well, I've paid the cost to be the boss.
Oh,
I have. I mean, truthfully speaking, and I'm not trying to be, but like I've been working in this position for quite a few years now, and what I need is a little different.
They need a little context because the first time you asked me for a flight, I was like, "You crazy?"
Right, and that's important. So as Eric was saying, we met when I was Jaz Jackson, the influencer, and I was on YouTube, and my niche was hair tutorials, specifically for hair extensions. And I was kind of like the new girl on the block, right? So I came on, and I think I was just fresh and bubbly, I think I would say. But the hair company team contacted me, and your company was the first, like, I guess I'm loosely saying this though. I want to say like reputable company that I'd worked with, because I was known as someone who would give reviews for affordable hair from a particular platform. And that is how I got my start. but I hadn't made connections with the who's who of hair companies at that time. And so when you guys contacted me, I was like, I made it.
Did. Hey, that's what's up, though. That's what's up.
It was a big deal at that time. 2012, 2014 was a huge time for Black female creators in the beauty space. We kind of like set the tone for what was to come.
The Golden Girls.
The Golden Girls. Yeah. It was a good time. It was a time of learning and growth and, kind of seeing what we would do with the platforms that we created.
Got you. So I'm going to get into all of that. But for those who don't know you, where are you originally from? You from Chicago?
Yes.
Gotcha.
So I'm from Chicago. I grew up on the west side of Chicago.
Gotcha.
As a young girl. I've lived on the south side for well over a decade. Maybe we're going on about 14 years. So growing up on the west side as a child, I really didn't get my bearings there. Okay. So I don't really necessarily say I'm from the west side. Like I live on the south side. That's the south side is where I became who I am.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I lived in Chicago basically my whole life.
Got you. What was childhood like?
Childhood was interesting. So about 97, my family decided to move to the suburbs. And that's where we primarily lived for a few years. I grew up in a pretty tumultuous environment, just difficult upbringings.
When you say difficult upbringing, like give me a little bit more, dialogue on that.
Yeah, so I grew up in an interesting environment, and my mother was a victim of like the crack epidemic, of the 80s, and so my family was impacted by it. And so I grew up in that environment that would come with parents that are addicted to drugs. And so a few years after we'd moved to the suburbs, we fell on real hard times, and so we had a time in our lives where we were homeless. So I lived in a slew of shelters and hotels, and just I've cars. I've kind of been there, done that with all of that. And she later found sobriety, and we were able to kind of get on our feet, right? But even still, like even though life is good on the forefront, you still deal with the issues that come with coming up in an environment like that.
What do you mean by that?
Just kind of what you're left with, how much it impacted me. I didn't realize until I became an adult. So
Gotcha.
Go ahead.
No.
Yeah. So as a child, I created a lot of different what's the word I'm looking for? I created a lot of different ways to cope with what I was dealing with. But I didn't realize that I had developed like depression even as a child. It was my normal. So I just lived with it. But it wasn't until, fast forward years and years later, I was an adult, 2012. I was in a relationship, long-term relationship, and my partner at that time had expressed to me that he felt that he didn't quite know who he was dealing with on a day-to-day, and he thought that I should go and speak to a specialist, because I would have these huge waves of like ups and downs that's similar to or conducive with having depression. And so I'd gone to the doctor, and at that time,
a doctor or a counselor?
No, I always mix them up.
Okay.
Psychiatrist. And she officially diagnosed me with depression. I was dealing with some PTSD from my childhood and anxiety. So I was 25, so I was really young, and I wasn't quite ready to deal with the type of work that it takes to work your way out of depression, especially when you've dealt with it as a child. Like, it doesn't seem like something's wrong. It seems like that's just who you are. And so it really wasn't until, I'm sorry, let me backtrack a little bit, because I did take the suggestion of the doctor of taking medication. And so I was on a ton of medication for a few years. And, it sent me through a tailspin. Like, one medication made me extremely like jovial, almost not natural though. Like, it was like, kind of bouncing off the walls.
Gotcha.
And then there was another one that would make me really groggy and irritable. And so, I decided at that time that I no longer wanted to take the medication. But I also at that time did not want to do the work to work my way out of depression, because it's a lot of work. So then in 2000 and I want to say 15, 16.
So now you're about what, 26, 27?
27.
Okay.
27. And like, my life just kind of shattered in a way. The relationship was over, which was a huge blow. I was with that person for close to a decade, so it was a lot.
The father of your son?
No.
Okay. Gotcha.
No. So this was a separate relationship.
Okay.
So I had to move out and start my life over. But because of that transition, I really spiraled. My depression really spiraled. And so 2017 was like 16, 17 was the end of my YouTube career.
Gotcha.
Because I've been doing
So I got to go back a little bit. You know what I mean? So in between there, you had a son.
Yeah, well, I had my son back in 2005, so I was a teenage mom.
Right.
Yeah.
But we skipped so much.
We did.
Yeah. So you had your son. How old were you when you had your son?
17.
Got you. Were you still in school?
No, so I've never talked about this before. So I dropped out of high school when I was 15. So because of the type of environment that I was in, I don't even really know why I made the decision to leave school. But I knew that I wanted to help provide for my family, and I wanted to work because we didn't have a lot. And school wasn't going well. I mean, I missed a lot of school. And so at 15, I decided to drop out. And at 17, I'd had my son. And so my son was a huge changing point for me.
You had to grow up.
I had to grow up. So that was my first pivot, was my son, because at that point it wasn't about me anymore. And I definitely didn't want my child to grow up in an environment that I was accustomed to. And so I went back to school. I got my GED.
Dope.
And then I later went on to college. And
what did you go to college for?
I went for journalism. Okay. Yes, I went to school. I wanted to be a news anchor.
Your passion, everything good. So I see you practicing.
Yeah. So I wanted to be a news anchor. And, I went to school. I ended up landing an internship with Fox News at 18, 19. And that was like the start of what would be a long road into kind of, finding what I would do with myself, with my life.
So what are you doing there? You got that. Did you finish school? College?
Okay. Yeah. So we wrapped up with that. And that part of my life was like good. I'm like, I did what I needed to do, and I took care of that. But it was just, what did I want to do as a career? So at 19 was a weird time for me, because I knew that I wanted to be something, but I didn't quite have the tools to see things through.
Okay.
So I would often start and stop projects, because I wasn't getting the results that I wanted as fast as I wanted them. And, I did have my son, and he was a small child at that time. And it was a higher level of responsibility when you have small children. And then being in a field like television, if you know anything about it, you typically bounce around the first couple of years of your career, you down in Tupelo, Mississippi, then they bounce you over to, somewhere until you reach a market that you're comfortable with.
Gotcha.
Well, I didn't really feel like I had that kind of time having a child. And so I was like, this ain't gonna cut it.
So what you doing?
I ended up, I did work in television for a little while.
Okay.
Excuse me. Behind the scenes, I did some producing. I did some camera work. Learned how to edit and do all these things, right? And I didn't realize at that time that I was planting the seeds that would be where I am today. But everything happens for a reason. So I learned how to work, behind the scenes, camera, lighting, editing, like sound, all of these things. And, I was in that relationship and I was like, this is not going where I wanted to go. I'm gonna quit and I'm gonna go to hair school.
Okay.
Because I see all of these girls on this thing called YouTube and it looks like a lot of fun and I think I could do that. But I wanted to be able to get hired. So, on these jobs as a hairstylist. Well, actually I wanted to be a makeup artist, but I thought I would leave the pack if I also went to school for hair.
Gotcha.
So I went to school, and while I was in school, I was actually known for my makeup artistry.
Okay.
And the girls at the school would often ask me, like, how did you do this? And how did you do that to your face? And, the contouring and all of this stuff. And I'd gotten tired of them asking me. So I started my YouTube channel for them as a place that they could go to look at the work that I've done.
Understood.
Well, in doing that, I wanted to get my hair done, right? And I'd seen, I couldn't afford the hair companies of the world at that time. Couldn't afford it at that time. But there was some affordable hair options on the market. And so I went that route.
Gotcha. What like,
are you okay with me?
Yeah.
Okay. So because I'm like, can we say
you can say anything.
So AliExpress was like bubbling.
Understood.
At that time. And not a lot of women were talking about AliExpress hair.
For what? For those who don't know, what is AliExpress?
So AliExpress is like a Chinese marketplace similar to Amazon. And you could buy anything on AliExpress, including hair. And at that time, it was a huge need for or want for hair, affordable hair. And I'd seen some reviews and, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this hair. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do a review of the hair that I purchased with my money. And I did it. And that video went viral. Yeah. And this is before like viral was even considered viral.
Gotcha.
It was just like, you got a ton of views.
Right.
And so with that, I still didn't understand that there was a niche and there was money to be made at that time. So I was in this Facebook group and a young lady that...
Oh, you got a Facebook? I didn't know you had a Facebook.
I got a Facebook. Not anymore.
Okay.
But I had a Facebook at that time. And I was in a Facebook group for makeup artists. And there was a makeup artist in there and she was like showing off this check that she had got from Google. This is back when Google was giving check. Like this is like, it seems like dinosaur years, right? But we really talking like 7-8 years ago. But it was dinosaur years, right? And so I was like, where'd you get that from? Like, how are you getting paid from Google? And she's like, I get paid with the advertisement that's played on my videos. You get, and I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, girl, you got that video and that video went viral and you not getting paid. So that night, I ended up switching over to being able to have paid advertisements on the.
What you gotta do to do that? Back then.
Oh my God. I think at that time you had to have but so many followers, subscribers, so many views. And then it would kind of unlock the ability to get advertisement.
Okay. Now this this video that you're talking about is not in correlation to the Nicki Minaj picture, is it?
No. So that was kind of like something that just happened. I mean, I think Nicki launched the same time I did, right? Obviously, she's Nicki Minaj, so she's doing far better. but it was always a comparison between how I looked, that I looked similar to Nicki Minaj. But it was not, that video did not do, that wasn't, about it. It wasn't about it. So once that happened and I started to see that I could make some significant money, I was all in.
Boom. Yeah. All right. So you got so you committed to something.
Yes. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I feel like that was my next pivot, because then that introduced Jaz Jackson to the world.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So people don't know that that's not your real name.
Right.
I ain't gonna make you disclose
that. That's not
my
real name.
But how did you come up with Jaz Jackson?
So it is and it ain't, right? So Jazz is short for Jasmine. Mm-hmm. But my father's name is Jackson.
Okay.
And so I took on his name because it sounded a lot more flyer than mine.
Do you have a relationship with your pops?
No.
Okay.
Well, that was the least he could do, is let me, use that name.
Throughout this time, do you have any, as you're transitioning now into, from hair, makeup, YouTube, you're seeing other ladies. Do you have any mentors or any people that kind of like pointed and gave you direction?
No, I mean that genre was not what it was supposed to be. Like YouTube was not supposed to turn into this mega marketing place.
Okay.
Like when we started, most of us that started between like 2010, between 2010 and like 2013, 14, we were doing it because we loved creating and it was fun. And, many of us, obviously, we didn't have the type of cameras that we have now. So we would just stand in front of, our window with some natural lighting, whatever camera, subpar editing system. And we would just do the work. It wasn't.
Now, did your skills from working in TV help you with editing?
Exactly. So so I didn't realize, as I was saying earlier, that I was planting the seeds for what was about to come. Because I knew I was instantly a one-man band, because I understood audio, lighting, editing, everything. So I was able to I had a advantage that a lot of people didn't have.
Okay.
Having that background.
Now, so just for context, what were you charging companies, for YouTube during that time, during 2012, 13? What were you charging for a video? Or,
I truly cannot remember, but if I can gauge, probably about 1,500.
Got you. That's one video or a couple
one
videos?
video.
Okay.
Depending on the relationship that I had with a company, like a her hair company, obviously you get more bang for your buck, right?
Gotcha. So you're making money from the company,
mm-hmm.
you're getting the product, and you're making money off YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Did you have any other sort of income at this time?
Because then what would happen? So what would happen is you would learn. So let's say your company would provide, hair.
Yeah.
Now we're learning how to do hair.
Mm-hmm.
And so naturally with that, you might start a little side hustle. If you're doing hair reviews all the time and you're making these units, we're not really wearing them for a long time. And so we would have a kickback of we'll do a sale of just the surplus of wigs that was, in the home. And you make a little bit more money. You know what I mean? But because I was doing both hair and makeup, I would make money from the hair endorsements, but then also my visibility became larger. So then I would acquire larger companies like Clinique. I did a huge brand deal with Weight Watchers.
I know about that.
Yeah, Weight Watchers was my biggest check.
Okay.
Not her hair.
At least we are proficient in looking for discounts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But, now, sorry to cut you off, but what led you to pivot to having a hair company? Because then you started your own hair company.
Oh man. Okay, so so 2016. Mm-hmm. I felt like it was a natural progression because my audience predominantly came to my channel for hair reviews. Okay. And so it felt like a natural transition to then move into the business side of things and provide a hair company.
So this is where we became better friends.
This is when
the relationship went from being a transactional relationship to a strategic relationship. Because I remember being in my yard and he'd be like, "Hey, you got a minute? What's going on? I'm about to kill my partner. She XYZ and XYZ. How do I pursue this?" Yes. Tell me about that experience.
Oh my God, it was such a volatile time in my life. 2016 was crazy. So I decided to launch a hair company, and I was encouraged to launch this hair company from my former business partner. Okay. I wanted to do something. I wanted to find other ways to make money, but I didn't quite know what to do. She had background in working with hair companies, some successful brands at that time. And she encouraged me to follow through with starting this company. Well, a lot of it for me was based in like a friendship code. I really had no business acumen. Like I just was like, this is my home girl. We gonna make some money together, and it's all fairies and roses and all this stuff. And it was not that. So, so we launched the company, and the worst thing I did, first of all, the first mistake I did was the type of deal we had.
What kind of deal was that?
50-50. Remember I told you about?
So why is that the worst kind of deal though?
Because what is that deal? like it's nothing, you know what I mean? And in terms of like making decisions, there was no higher source. We were equally as important in that business deal. But had I known any better, my name was the company's name, Jaz Jackson Collection. So really by default, I should have had more of a percentage within the company. But I didn't know that at that time, and so, it was
so
just.
So today you won't go 50-50 with nobody? What? I just want to make that clear.
Like honestly, that is a bad deal. Like you should, especially with all of the sweat equity that you put into your business, outside of like if your name is on the business, but if you are providing more, you would take more, and I think that I can't quite remember, but I want to say that, I fronted more money up front, but looking back on it, I just wasn't aware that all of this made sense and why I would have more of the share within the company.
Got you. So during this time, you would call a lot.
A lot.
You would call a lot.
Yeah.
And you would have a lot of different questions that were based around business acumen. Mm-hmm. And then I remember it getting a little bit sticky. You had to, do some legal stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't know how far that went, and we don't have to go there. But more importantly, there came a point where you didn't call us often. You know what I mean? And
during that time?
Yeah. Like I felt like, oh, you got it handled. You know what I'm saying? Like something, you know what I mean? Like, because you're calling, you have questions. You're like, hey, I'm doing this. Where should I go? Who should I ask for what? You were looking at me as a mentor in this space, especially because it was hair and you were in a situation with this person. I guess where I'm going with this is like, at this point, did you come across mentorship or somebody who steered you the right way, or you just terminated the whole company?
Yeah, like I knew it was over because a couple of things was happening to me in my life. I was going through a major life transition, and the person that I was in being excited about launching the business was not the person that was within that moment. Gotcha. So I changed my life over. I had gone through like this mental, spiritual, emotional like transition of getting my life in order, because again, that was 2016. Mm-hmm. So I had hit my lowest point in my depression. And the byproduct of that was that I wasn't filming as much as I once did with YouTube. And my love for doing YouTube was no longer there. And so it made everything a lot more difficult to do, because I was the face of the brand, you know, and at that point I'd been known as, you know, bubbly Jazz, and, you know, people looked forward to, you know, my excitement on camera, but I was not happy. So I couldn't perform, you know? And so it came to a point where I just was like, I need to make a decision about what it is that I truly want out of life, and I need to adjust. So I knew that the business was over. And at that time I was so depleted. Like I just was like, we met one particular day, and I told her, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I was like, but because I know that you've put a lot of work into this, you could have the company
with your name on it,
but you have to rebrand. So then that's when it got funny, because, and in that moment, what I heard was her agreeing to it, but she never did. And so for a while, she continued to run the business under Jaz Jackson Collection.
Gotcha.
She later switched, but it was a lot of like back and forth. We had a terrible falling out, like real bad. Yeah.
Getting into something like that in the future, what would you do differently for somebody listening?
Structure. I would fully understand what role each individual is playing. I would not suggest partnerships. That's to me is a little dangerous, and maybe I'm scarred. But I think I'm a little scarred. But I would, unless that person has proven over time that they are worthy of taking a percentage of the company. But if you can go at it alone and build a team, I would go that route.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. So in all of this, where does J-Scope? How does J-Scope?
Right.
Where's the birth?
Right.
Where J-Scope come from?
So getting back to 2016 and going through that spiritual transition in my life, thinking back in 2012, my doctor had suggested, outside of medication, you could take a holistic approach to healing. And that was eating properly, regular exercise, meditation, and journaling. And because I sat with the medication for as long as I had, and I didn't like what it did to me, but I hadn't done the work of the holistic approach, I was like, well, I mean, what do I really have to lose if I just try it this way? And so I did. And that unlocked a new version of me that I did not know existed.
Dope.
So what was happening was, it was the end of that company. It was like right around each other. It was the end of the company. I was a lot more clear-headed. Like, you know, I had pulled myself out of the depression, right? And so I was able to see things for what they really were in that business deal, and just many things that was happening in my life.
Were you making any money from the hair?
No. So we were not making any money. Like, we were making money, but nothing to pay the bills. Nothing to pay the bills. And because she handled the books, I never knew exactly how much money we were making.
So you didn't have access?
No. She kept that like under wraps, and we would have conversations and I would ask her to show me and she would say that she would show me, but then she would get busy, things like that. So, so I would never see financials. But from my viewpoint, she was living a great life. You know what I mean? Now I can't, looking back on it, because she did have other sources of income, I can't say that she was living her life off of this brand, but I know that she was retaining some money. Right? So
facts.
Yeah, she was retaining some money. So, it was a big lesson. But the beauty of that was, I really sat with myself and got my mental together. So, I began, so I wasn't doing YouTube anymore, but I still had a very active Instagram page. And, I began to tell my story of depression through Instagram. And I also took them on my weight loss journey, because at that time,
I remember
I ballooned. I was almost 200 pounds. I was 194. I'm 5'2", by the way. Okay, so I was round. So I took my audience on this journey with me, and I would get up every single day. At that time, I was a huge gym buff. Like, I would go like twice a day, 6 times a week. Crazy. I was in the gym, eating right. I mean, you couldn't pay me to eat nothing but water and something that God gave me. But through that, I'd said that I wanted to try my hand again at business. And I knew in the YouTube days that people, or women in particular, gravitated towards my outfits of the days, is what they would call them back in the day. And people would always ask me about, my physique and, how did I get there? And
they thought your body was fake.
Super fake. They still do. And so I began to show them like the things that I would do and the products that I would wear while I was at the gym. And so I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm about to try it, right? Because I had nothing to lose. I had no money. I was pawning stuff out of my home to pay my bills.
Jesus.
Like cameras and lighting. Like, I just started like selling everything because I had no money. And so I was like, you know what, God, if I knew I could make money because I had been in that world. So I knew I could make money. I just did not know how much money I could make. And so I was like, God, if I can just make $5,000 a month, me and my son will be okay.
Okay.
Because I knew I could do some other hustles to supplement, and we'd be fine.
So you're looking to make $60,000 a year.
Yep.
And you'd be okay with that.
Yep. I was like, if I could just make $5,000 a month, I'll be fine.
Did you look at your bills, or that was just a number?
It was just a number. It was just a number. Okay. I was just trying to survive.
Understood.
Just having the basics met. Anything else was extra. You know Understood. What I mean? And so I gotta pause. This is a big story. Like, so in that, like, what I want to like give across is like the mental shift that I went through in my life when I got out of depression, because it unlocked a type of energy within me where I believed that I could do anything. And so I really still wanted to be in entertainment. And
yeah, the radio came back.
Exactly, right.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Okay. So I felt like all of this work that I had done in my own personal life of cleaning up who I was unlocked the things that I wanted in life, because I'd gotten a job working for a radio station and I was an on-air personality.
Gotcha. How was that experience?
So, I mean, you're from that world. So
yeah, but I was on your head though.
Yeah.
I was like, when you quitting?
Right. So, okay. So guys, so this is important because, I I gotten hired at a radio station back home. And I was extremely excited about that because I worked so many years to just get my foot in the door. And the first position that they offered me, I walked away from. They was only giving me Saturdays.
I remember that.
At their hip hop station. And, you know, I kind of was like, I mean, it's cool, but I got a lot of stuff going on, you know. And J-Scope was growing. And it was taking a lot of my time. And so I was like, you know, I'm not going to do it. So I ended up declining the offer. But I was devastated because I was like, girl, how could you do that? Like, you waited a long time to get there. That. This is crazy. And so my mentor said to me, she was like, well, you know, if it comes back to you, then it's meant to be.
Who's the mentor?
So my mentor, her name is Tiffany Smith. Okay. And shout out to Tiffany. She just actually wrote a book, children's book, really dope.
What's the name of the book?
I'm gonna mess up.
That's okay. Tiffany Smith.
Masaji's Magic Carpet.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
You might have to edit this out because I don't want to mess that up.
But hey, it's love.
Right.
It's the thought that counts, baby.
So I met her when I was 19 working for the television station at Fox. Gotcha. And she took me under her wing, and she was my mentor for many, many years. And so years later, you know, I was still, you know, we would talk every day, and I was like, I got this opportunity to do this radio thing, but I got J-Scope. I don't know what to do. I ain't gonna take it, you know. And then she said, well, if it's meant to be for you, then it'll come back. Right. And then like a month later, it came back.
And what was the offer this time?
This time I was offered a midday slot, which was huge. I'd never done radio before. I'd never had any, you know, true jobs outside of what I did back when when I was
Do you think they were trying to leverage your celebrity YouTube?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so at this time, you know, things were really changing for radio, and they were looking for ways to get local more creative. Yeah. Gotcha. And so I had built up my name in the city, and, you know, just on social media in general. So it was beneficial to them to bring me on. But I was talented. So it was interesting because they wanted me, but they were afraid that I couldn't deliver. So no experience. So I put together a demo, and I remember getting a phone call back like, "This is you?" Yeah, that's me. And so they were willing to take the chance. So when it doubled back, I jumped on it because I'm like, it came back twice. Came back again.
Now you working at the radio. Midday shift is what, 10 to 2?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Midday shift is 10 to 2.
So mommy, J-Scope.
Yeah. And at this time, J-Scope was growing. Gotcha. I want to take a second because I got to talk about that $5,000 because $5,000 was another turning point.
Okay.
I know we bouncing all over the place, but so I was like, God, if I just make $5,000, right? So when I launched J-Scope July 27th, 2017.
Okay.
So that was a huge turning point for me. And the moment I launched, you know, we were profitable because I did pre-sale. So I didn't even really front a whole lot of money. I think I might have fronted like $7,000.
So explain pre-sale, the pre-sale launch so that somebody listening understands what you did.
Right. So strategically, you know, if you're in a position where you have a product and you want to see if you have a consumer base for it, you test out pre-sale. So pre-sale is basically saying, I have a product, I don't have it physically yet, but you're buying into what you know I'm going to deliver. So the customers pay up front for the product and then they get the product later on.
Gotcha.
Right. So that's pre-sale. So I did that and we were successful out the gate. And I remember going to a nail salon and And I never go to this nail salon. It was right around the corner from my house at the time. I never go to the nail salon, but I needed my nails done. So I go over there and a young lady walks in. I'm getting my nails done. The young lady walks in and she's talking to her friend about a job she just got. She was so excited. She was like, girl, I just got hired at State Farm. Oh my God, they give, benefits and da. And eventually the friend asked, well, how much are you being paid? And the young lady, she was like, you're not going to believe it. They paying me $50,000 a year. And at that point, I think I had cleared like 70 that month. And so for me to have a mindset of I'm just going to make 5,000 and then to see that I had made like close to 70 at that point was the shift that I needed to say, okay, I can't handle this like it's a hustle. This is a real career for me. This is a real career path, right? So, but I'm still doing the radio station because at this point, like I'm a one-man band for the business.
I want to get into that right there.
Yeah.
So, all right. So pre-sale happens.
Yeah.
Do you remember your pre-sale sales?
I don't.
Okay,
it was a lot. It was a lot.
So would you say 10,000?
It was definitely over 10,000.
All right, so 10,000.
I want to say it was probably about like in the 20s.
Got you. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So you was in the 20s, and let's say your product price point was what? $60, $70?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so 20,000 divided by $70. That's 285 waistbands.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what do you do next?
So
did you expect that much?
No.
All right,
now coming off and because I was coming off of the hair company and not getting any sales, I kind of just thought it was going to be this
took a humble approach.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a slow leak.
Right.
So I was just preparing to do the work. But it was the entire opposite of what I experienced with my first
feel? You remember the feeling?
Surreal. Because I had never seen money like that in my account before, right? Like
that wasn't at her hair company.
No. I was you was paying me, and I was still waking up, in the negative, like
dead.
Like, but I'd never seen money like that in my life.
All right, so
yeah,
you have to order this. This is, you have to order from the supplier.
Yeah.
What's the turnaround on the orders?
So this is when it gets real,
right?
Because and at face value, I was a good saleswoman.
Okay,
I was really good at selling. I had no idea how to run a business.
Okay,
and so that's how I learned how to run a business. So I didn't understand lead time. So lead time, when you make the purchase through the manufacturer, they have to produce it and then you still have to wait for it to ship, right? Now you have two options. At that time, I wasn't even privy to sea freight, right?
But that's slower though.
It's slower, but it saves a lot of money.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
So because I was dealing with customers that had been waiting for such a while.
What's such a while?
Oh my God! At the peak of not the peak, but at the beginning of J Sculpt, customers would wait at least 6 weeks.
Whoa!
Yeah.
So now you got 280 people waiting.
No. I got because I'm not stopping business.
So you still letting it compile.
So it's like and the business is growing week over week over week. All
right, but hold on, let's stay in that frame though.
Mm-hmm.
So it took 6 weeks to get it. Like, do you know how to work like the shipping station and everything, the print labels? Like, how are you doing this?
Yeah, I'm out of my house. I'm out of my condo. I got the print machine. I got the labels.
You taking them to the post office too?
Dropping them in my car, taking them to the post office, and that became my life.
And you're still working at the radio station.
And I'm still working at the radio station. So now it's coming to a point where, clearly I'm not making nearly as much as I'm making it, through my business as at the radio station. So, but my my spirit still wanted to live out that dream that I had as a little girl. So I called this guy.
Yeah.
So I was out here. I did something for you. I was out here. We were here. And I was in my car. And
and we went outside.
We were outside.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I told you I had made X amount of dollars. And I was like, but I really love what I'm doing, man. And I've been waiting for this my whole life. And you were like, you got to quit. You were like, and I was devastated when you told me that.
I'm sorry.
I was devastated. It was like having someone take your favorite teddy bear, because again, I felt like me working at the radio station was my reward for fixing my life, and so, but I also understood, as you had said, that it was a unique time for me, and not everybody gets an opportunity like I had.
I told you it's once in a lifetime.
So right.
And you get a window, and you got to take advantage of the window.
And I never forgot that. And I was like, I gotta take advantage of this window.
So what triggered you to make the decision to quit?
That conversation.
Oh.
That conversation met with my workload, because it was just me. And the business was growing so fast, I could not keep up. Like I would stay up all night packaging orders, get up in the morning, take the kid to school, go to work at the radio station, work those 4 hours, which if you worked in radio, you're sitting and you're talking, but it's busy work.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? And so what I started to do was, when I got real good at doing radio, I started to kind of go through a cheat code, pre-record. So I would pre-record my shows and bring my laptop to work. And I would work J-scopes while at the station.
Nobody said nothing?
But then no one said anything, but I started to feel guilty. Because I was like, I'm doing this over here, and I'm living the life that I want to live. And I know that there's somebody that really wants this seat.
Fair enough.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no doubt.
That really wants this seat, and it's time for me to move on. And one day, I went to the program director, and I told him, I was like, this will be, I'm leaving, I got this business and it's taking off. And I remember when I walked out the room, I grabbed, right before the door closed, I could see him slump in his chair and let out like a big, almost like what just happened? Because it was really out of nowhere. It was really out of nowhere.
Well, hold on. So we got to get to it's all important, but I got to get to the juice. You going.
Yeah.
And then you called me and said, E, can I borrow some money?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. He's been waiting to tell this.
Yes.
Because I asked for some money. Okay, so.
It ain't about asking for some money. I think, though, it was I think that, although I said no, I think you had to figure it out and you had to gut your way through it. And so, you know what I mean? You were in a situation with PayPal. Talk about that.
Yeah, so to give context, so I launched J-Sculpt, and like I said, from day one, we were profitable. But I didn't have my business in order. So I was just using the resources that I had around me. And I'd been making money through PayPal, with different brand deals, and we would be paid via PayPal. So it would be
under your personal name.
It was under my personal name. Gotcha. So a lot of money was funneling through this account. And so PayPal flagged it because it wasn't normal. But on top of that, because I was dealing with the pre-sale, we started to get chargebacks from customers not wanting to wait any longer.
And a chargeback is basically somebody putting in a dispute with their credit card that they didn't receive their product. in a timely fashion.
Yeah.
Therefore, there's a ratio that credit cards and or payment gateways look for, and it's typically 1%. So you typically want to keep chargebacks under 1 or 2% in order to keep a healthy account, unless you have extreme volume and a relationship with the company. They will red flag you, and when they red flag you, they actually hold your funds for a probationary period, just for the security of the customer.
Yes, and that's exactly what happened to me. So it was time for me to make my purchase order with the manufacturer, and I had a ton of money sitting in PayPal. It was maybe like $30,000, and that money was going to be used towards purchasing the product and doing everything I needed to do. Well, PayPal flagged my account, and I wasn't able to have those funds until 8 months after the investigation was over. So I panicked because I still needed to get my product out to my customers. And I contacted Eric because he's got the money.
No, I do not. But go ahead.
And I was like, E, I'm in trouble. I need like $7,000. That was what I needed. And, I got to do this and I got to do that. And he told me no.
And yesterday you asked me, why did you tell me no?
Why did you tell me no? Yeah.
Because I then asked, how much money do you have? And then you was like, I have 7,000. So I was like, oh, you would use my 7,000 to go, run the business, but you won't use yours.
But in my defense, though, I've heard you say, you don't spend your money, you spend their money. Don't you say that?
She's tapping. Look at Ziggy.
He do. He said you don't use your money, you use their money. That's what I was doing.
Did. So, that didn't happen. So,
right.
What did you do?
Man, I communicated to my customers that it would be a little bit more of a wait. Customers that I was still, cash flow positive. So I still had money coming in from the other orders. So I just accumulated that money and used it to purchase for the others.
What did you switch to? Like, you couldn't use PayPal. What pay service did you end up going to?
I was always on Shopify. So Shopify
is your store, the gateway for your payment, though. Because your money was stuck in PayPal, right?
Right.
So did you switch that? Did you use somebody else for payment transactions?
So PayPal is through Stripe. PayPal uses Stripe. So if I'm saying that right, I don't hold me to that. But it's like Stripe, and so
Stripe and PayPal are two different companies,
right?
So that means that you switched to Stripe.
No, because I was already under Shopify. Their gateway was automatically Stripe. So I was getting paid. I was still capturing payments. So it was dual. So I had customers that was paying via PayPal, and then customers that would pay via through Shopify, through the Stripe gateway, and I would still get paid. So I had two streams.
Gotcha. To avoid confusion, let me break that down.
Yeah.
What you're saying, and let me know if I'm understanding you correctly. You have PayPal for those who have a membership with PayPal. For the security, they're comfortable using PayPal.
Yes.
But if you're just logging out as a guest, it went through the Stripe account.
Yeah.
So you're using two gateways, not just one.
Yeah. I mean, it's no different than, you take your Visa, whatever, and you check out, on a website.
Gotcha. I'm thinking that you're only using one at the moment. No. So I was thinking like, okay, if your PayPal got locked up, what did you use next? But you already had to. It just happened to be that option was just now shut down. You only had one way to go.
Right. And at that time, PayPal had more of a reserve than what Shopify was doing.
I'm tracking now.
You get it? Yep. Right. So I did that, and I got through it. Got the orders out.
How'd you feel about me at that time?
Oh, you was my homie. I understood.
Cool.
I really did understand.
Okay.
And I truthfully used it as a challenge to see if I could get myself out of that situation.
Dope.
And I don't know if I've said it to you, but I do thank you for saying no, because it made me, bootstrap. Like,
man, that's the worst investment I didn't make, Ziggy. I could have damn near.
It is a very.
I could have damn near been like, man, let me get 30%. Here goes the 7,000. We've been living different today, bro.
That wasn't really bad. That was bad. Why didn't you do that?
I didn't know enough.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he was just in the beginning. I didn't know enough. I knew you were doing it, but I just wasn't into that though.
Yeah.
I was the peak of her hair too.
You were.
So like, I just locked in on that in real estate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
I mean, you did right.
You know what I mean? Now, going off that, marketing, like, how are you going about marketing? Because you're not on your YouTube.
Right.
And I would be like, you need to leverage your YouTube for J Skull.
Yeah.
And you was just like, I'm not about that life no more. I'm not doing that.
I ain't stripping no more.
Like, what type of strategies did you deploy to market J Skull?
So we definitely used influencer marketing. That was at a peak moment. That was a huge opportunity for us.
So when you're saying influencer marketing, are we talking YouTube, Instagram? What's the strategy like?
All of the channels.
Okay.
So because I come from that world, I had an understanding of how it worked from being the model. Gotcha. So I understood. I guess I kind of used it in reverse, like reverse engineering of like, okay, I know that these companies are coming to me for a reason. And so I would go back into my old contracts. I would read what people were looking for, certain verbiage, how they wanted videos to be structured, et cetera, et cetera. And I used that as a playbook to how I approached influencers.
It's big. So today I use, let's say, Grant Cardone emails.
Yeah.
To then look at the copy and remix it into my copy.
Yep.
Because he'll send you 90 of them.
Yeah.
But, so dope. Yeah. Now, as far as the waist trainer, I've seen it everywhere. All right. I also see it.
not a waist trainer, but okay.
My bad. What is it called? Let me give it its proper context. What is it?
So we don't promote J-Sculpt as a waist trainer. Okay. We understand that the market has been so boggled down by that term that from a marketing standpoint, it works to our advantage to continue with that communication. But our product is primarily used at the gym to help promote sweat, back support. But our purpose is to not make you change anything about yourself, and that's kind of what a waist trainer was known to do.
My bad. Gotcha.
It comes with a bad rep, because a lot of people are misinformed about what waist trainers are. And to be honest with you, the products that's promoted as a waist trainer on the market today do not give the same results that people think it does in comparison to a steel boned corset.
What's the difference?
So steel boned corset, it's steel rods. And this is what you would see during cathedral times, where they would take the strings and they would pull and really tighten, right? And it would change the frame of the woman. But the products on the market today, they are not nearly as aggressive.
Okay.
Right? Now, you do have women that still live by that and believe in, waist training, and that's what they do, which by all means, more power to you. But I launched this product to be used as a tool at the gym.
Understood.
It was never to be defined underneath those particular categories.
My bad. Hey, that was the political way of putting me in my place. Hey, let me don't put that in the air no more, Eric. My bad.
It's cool though, because I think it's just a big misunderstanding about what that particular product is, and because the world is very privy to what we're putting out, I understand why there is concern behind such things, but it's important for me to always say, like,
definitely
what we do.
No doubt. So I was saying that I see them often, right?
Yeah.
What has allowed you to stand above the rest? What's the, what have you done differently that others don't do?
I think it's all the seeds that I've planted throughout the years. So everything that I've done has prepared me for J-Sculpt. Going to school for media, even the pivot into YouTube was planting the seeds of me being a personality and being trusted amongst my audience. I think that I found a window because there were other competitors, right? But it was kind of quiet. The landscape was quiet at that time. And so I do think it was timing meets preparation, but also understanding certain things such as influencer marketing. All of these different channels that I learned about throughout the years is what helped me and what sustains me to this day.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So today, you've been in business.
July of this year, we'll be walking into year 5.
Hey man, let's clap it out. That's big right there. That's big. All right.
Yeah.
Congratulations. What has been your biggest month?
Okay, so what was it, last year? 2020, yeah. At the peak of COVID, like many business owners, we were preparing for the worst.
Man,
we were doing a lot of contingency planning, and we was over there like, okay, who gonna stay? You know what I mean? Like, what we gonna do? And I was really, really nervous. I was nervous during that time. But what ended up happening was the complete opposite for my arena. So, I'm considered to be in the health industry, and so with COVID, many people wanted to have some sense of normalcy in their lives when they were, at home, because they didn't have access to the gym and things of this sort. And so when many businesses was really struggling, the health industry was actually booming. Mm-hmm. And so in the month of April, when we thought that we were going to, basically close our e-commerce doors, we had our highest month in history. So we grossed over $1 million. I think it was like maybe 1.1.
That's crazy.
In the month of April, which was huge.
Definitely.
I mean, I was waking up and I just was like, what is going on? It felt good. Of course it felt good, but it was a lot of pressure.
Because at that time, suppliers are not producing as much.
Suppliers were not producing. So everything was just backed up in the chain. Like we were waiting for inventory to come.
Yeah.
They shut down.
Right.
Manufacturers overseas shut down because it hit them first. So we were dealing with so much, but we were still operating. And so what ended up happening?
So you didn't stop sales.
Did not stop sales. You don't stop the sales. You work through. You don't stop. You work through. So I kept working, because I was like, I'm not gonna stop. If my business is flowing, I'm not gonna stop my business, right? I think about that and will I do it the same way again? Probably so. Probably so. Because I got through it. You know what I mean? Now, did I get dinged up? Man, they killed us. They killed us online with just like waiting for the inventory. We was dealing with.
What was the waits like during that time?
It was back to like year 1.
Oh my God. So 6 weeks?
Yeah. So we had people waiting like 6 weeks, and we had worked a lot to get out of that. So we had, at that time, prior to COVID, we had a normal shipping time frame, which was huge for us. And I'd worked really hard to get us to that point. So to then have to be backtracked, it was the weirdest thing, because it's like I'm being backtracked, but I'm
banging them.
But it was a weird feeling. But I couldn't enjoy it. I couldn't sit in that and enjoy that moment in my life, because it was so much work to be done.
So that's April. Did it continue at that speed too?
So, you have your drop off, so we did like 1.1 April. May was like close to 9. And
still outstanding.
April, May, June toppled off and dropped down by like 6.
Gotcha.
And then we started to level.
What's the average month before all of this? What's the average month at J-Scope before that?
We definitely do 6 figures.
Understood.
Yeah, we're consistent at 6 figures.
Understood. Yeah. I got you. I respect it. You know what I'm saying? So throughout this, now you have a team. Mm-hmm. You're definitely not a one-man band.
Not anymore.
Like, what's the breakdown of your team?
Yeah, so now I have a team of 14 now. Wow. Which is that's comprised of upper management and customer service reps.
They're all in-house or
no? So our customer service reps are remote, so they're all over.
Okay.
And because we primarily communicate via email, so everybody's remote from customer service standpoint. But management and creative is in-house because that was really important to me to be around my creatives because I understand
you're creative. So you need to be able to have that juice going and everybody adapt that.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah. So that was really important for me. So we'd moved into an office space shortly after COVID. We had been doing a build out of it prior to COVID, but then COVID happened and it stopped everything. So we have CEO, CFO, which would be considered CFO. We have an admin there. Our creative is there. Marketing assistant is in house, gotcha. and I like the setup. Some people. I understand like the win in people being remote, but it's something about your team being there to nurture them.
No, I get it.
That's very different when you have a team full of remote workers. Mm-hmm. So my ultimate goal, is to have my entire flow in-house. Yeah. And then
why is that your goal?
There's a part of me that needs that control.
At least you're honest with it.
I need more control.
Okay.
And I think I wonder if that's a characteristic of an entrepreneur. Like there's a small part.
So I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't do work from home messing up here.
Right.
I need to be able to see.
Yeah.
There's context that happens that you need to be a part of, and I feel like at home. You're doing your own thing. You're not doing her hair company thing. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I think that being here, you might hear somebody on dealing with a customer, over the phone, and that may stimulate some thought for you and how to handle your customer in the near future. As a country, if you're at home, you're kind of just doing the same thing, running the script.
Yeah,
it's different. You're not evolving with the team at home. To me,
I agree. And so I'm phasing out a lot of that, right? I'm not opposed to maintaining the customer service rep being remote. That works. But when it comes to upper management and things like that, they have to be in-house. Another thing that I shifted, which I was doing at a particular time during the height of our debacle with shipping, I was working with the 3PL. Which a 3PL is, basically like an Amazon.
Fulfillment center.
A fulfillment center. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So when I partnered with them, maybe year 2 of J Sculpt, and it was fine at that time because the volume wasn't nearly what it is now.
So you got them basically to assist you picking and packing your orders.
Yes.
Therefore, that you could focus on the business and not work in the business. Yes. Is that fair to say? Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I did that, and it was good for a couple of years. But then, as the business grew, as our business grew, their business grew as well, and then you started to notice that they would nickel and dime everything. So, to like, let's say I like to get really creative during the holidays and provide something different that is not normal to,
you're talking about packaging?
Packaging, yeah.
Okay, cool.
I like to get creative with that. Okay, well, when I did that with this company, I would be charged for that package, for them to put the products in the package. And so it was like I'm getting charged for literally everything that they touch, I'm charged for. And so we looked up, and last year my CFO was like, we got to get out now. And I'm like, what's going on? And we looked up and they had generated like over $500,000 in revenue from us, from the shipping. And we were realizing that, what we were charging the customer at the end of the day, it was not what we were being charged with the fulfillment center. So we were like up by $2 or $3.
Okay.
Yeah, which is crazy. You know what I mean? And we were losing, So this year, officially, we transitioned out and I started my own warehouse.
Gotcha.
And so I have my own warehouse now, my own staff, and that's like the fruit of, that's what I like now, like building and seeing
the project management of it. Gotcha. So let's go back. You see, you got an office building. Do you own it, lease it?
Lease it.
Got you. South side of Chicago?
Yeah.
Gotcha. How many people work there in office?
5.
Gotcha. All right. Now, my question to you is, why didn't you purchase you a building?
I don't think I was ready yet. Okay. I hadn't had a lot of knowledge.
Okay.
And
still growing,
and it's like when you don't see it, you don't know it exists, right? Similar to me going back to that $5,000 thought process. That was because I couldn't see that I could make $30,000 in a month, right? So now I understand my purchasing power, and I also understand that is something, that type of ownership is something that I want to see for myself. Because even if one day the business is dissolved, that structure could still stand and it could be something else.
Now that you say that,
yeah,
me and Ziggy have talked, and you know what I mean? Like, I was like, man, if I ever stop selling hair, I have 2 levels. I could easily Airbnb this.
Yes.
And we're in a prime location in Indianapolis to where there's like a bunch of bars here. And we're on the strip to where it takes you straight downtown. So I was letting him know that there's so many different options that I have with the building. And I'm going to just, share this with you. And, hopefully to stimulate some thought for you to do your own thing. But I bought the building here for $400,000. I put $100,000 into it. Today's worth $900,000.
Yeah.
So I have refinanced it, and I've taken back nearly $150,000 tax free, just because I own it. And I still have 25% equity in the building. So if I were to sell it, I would make profit. If I keep it, I'm good. There's so many different exits, but owning it, it's almost like you put all this hard work into it. You don't got to give it back.
Yes.
And so it's something that I would definitely love for you to, like, you know what I'm saying, consider for yourself.
No.
Just because, it's just something like, over time, real estate is going to continue to appreciate.
Yeah.
So you might as well, a lot of people are like, man, the market's high. It's not coming back down no time soon. So you might as well grab it and grab that price point and basically gain the appreciation and the tax benefits. You know
Definitely. No. That's my next phase is the build out of our facility.
Gotcha.
So, we're looking at structures that's already readily available, but I am specifically looking at land.
Okay.
And the unique thing about Chicago, especially with our current mayor, Lori Lightfoot, she's an African American woman, and so there's a need to create jobs and resources within the inner city. So, my ultimate plan is to find land, build the structure on the land.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Is there land in the area that you want to be in?
It's all over, especially right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of really, up and coming locations.
Okay.
So it definitely is an opportunity to grow something there.
And just a place for, to put cash in to grow.
I do have a real question for you, though.
Yes.
Because I am a new homeowner. June will be a year for me being a homeowner. Thank you. So I purchased my home, and I'm looking in the future of what I want to do with that home. And so I've decided that I'm going to turn it into an Airbnb, like a super home.
Okay.
And so my question is, would you suggest that?
It's all about location.
I'm in a prime location, so I'm pretty much 15 minutes from everywhere.
What about Wrigley Field? That's big.
I'm very close to Sox Stadium.
Sox, you're on the south side. That's right. Yeah. Got you.
So and I'm very close to the McCormick Place.
Okay.
So it's a huge stadium for conventions and things.
Got you.
And so my thought was, okay, well, I'm gonna turn this into an Airbnb, and use this as.
That's a nice, pretty home for Airbnb, man. That's a luxury joint.
It is.
So you just bought it. If you don't mind me asking, why do you want to move out? Too much house for you?
Yeah. I got in, and it's a multitude of things. So, my son, I'm coming up on my son to be 16 this year. Mm-hmm. And so I have about 2 more years with him before he heads off to college. Mm-hmm. And, as I look at my future, which I'm really looking at for 4 years, mm-hmm. I'm thinking about what's going to happen next for me. And, when you start to make money, that you've never made before. You want all the things that you've never had before.
Ain't nothing wrong with it.
Right, So you go and you get all the bells and whistles. Well, one of my dreams was to have a big, lavish home. We
talked about this.
Right. I wanted a big, dumb.
In Houston.
Yeah. Big, lavish home. Mm-hmm. And I found my home. But then when I got it, I was like,
Hey, what's that mean? What's that mean?
I was like, okay, I got it. But I think it's also a part of my characteristic as well. I always want something new. Like, I'm always looking to build the next thing, like what's next for me, what's coming next. And so, I knew that the area that I was moving into was really up and coming. And so I wanted to purchase there because I knew that I would get a great return on investment, right? But now, I'm looking at the kid. He's almost, he's going to be heading off to college, sooner than later. I'm a single woman, mm-hmm. me and the dog, let's go downtown. Let's go get a nice, get us a nice fat condo with a doorman.
That's hilarious.
You know what I mean? Like, and I still have my home.
Got you.
And I can go back, you know what I mean?
No, Airbnb for, I've seen your place, obviously. But I think that's definitely the move. There are applications to where you can kind of see what the Airbnbs around you are charging, mm-hmm. Because you want to calculate if you rented your weekends out, right, Friday, mm-hmm. Saturday, Sunday, what your ROI would be, mm-hmm. Before you make that decision, because obviously you got to leave it furnished, mm-hmm. And so, but there are applications to where, like, I have one near my home. I have a rental property that I have, and now I'm just trying it because it's by the airport.
Right.
So that's of convenience, and it's 20 minutes from downtown. But, I'm looking at the calculator. It doesn't mean that you're going to be booked out, but obviously your weekends get sold out first. Mm-hmm. You want your weekends to kind of be able to pay your basic necessities, mm-hmm. and then your extras to, But you want to do at least 3x with your mortgages.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's kind of where you want to be with that one. If you were to book all weekends, you want to be at 3x. Okay. And that kind of like gives you a ballpark of whether you should or not. Now, one thing I would need you to do though, since you bought your home last year, prices have went up since the pandemic. Mm-hmm. So you're familiar with comps. Mm-hmm. You need to look at what the comps for your house is. Mm. Because you may be able to refinance your house. Depending on how much, let's say, example, you bought it for $400, now it's worth $500. You may be able to take out a certain percentage of that, and you can furnish the house,
right?
Or you can put a down payment for your condo,
right?
Tax free.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So that's a way that you can leverage your home to now get your condo down deposit, tax free, and keep pushing, mm-hmm. and then Airbnb that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And, furnish whatever you want to do. Yeah. But that's kind of how you move with that. The app, I don't know about heart, but I can get to you by the time I finish here. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I can make that call. Yeah. Now, so I have a question. You have 14 people. Mm-hmm. I know when I was growing like that, it kind of got hectic for me. Mm. So coming out of college, I took finance. I've tried a couple businesses here and there. but I had like 2 or 3 people help me. You know what I mean? Like simple stuff that we're just delegating responsibility amongst 2 or 3 people. Mm-hmm. You need an organizational chart for and respond. You know that's a whole.
We have that.
Yeah, for something like that.
Yeah.
How have you worked through the development and the growth of your business, like to structure it like that?
That's probably been the most difficult for me because, you know, one, I knew nothing about how to structure a business and to scale it at this level. So when it was time to make the changes that I've made within the business, in terms of our operations, I actually ended up hiring a consultant that came in and restructured my entire brand.
When you say restructure, like what is he restructuring?
So we took a deep dive into the operations of the business, because we understood that we were struggling greatly with like our customer service support and also with our shipping. And so that's how we found out like we were bleeding with the 3PL. And so they came in and we were able to see the numbers of exactly what we were doing, the mistakes that we were making, but also just operationally, like how the business was structured as it relates to customer support. So we had them come in and they provided us with like that, with the chart, and just helped us restructure. They also was at the forefront of us moving into our warehouse as well. And setting that entire thing up. But it's been difficult from a mental standpoint, because you have to go through so many shifts as a person that I don't think many people are prepared for. And so as we were discussing previously, I was saying that the person that you met, in 2014, definitely not the person that I am in 2021.
And I instinctively say this should make your skin thick.
It's like it has changed me.
In what way? I mean, in what way?
I'm a lot more serious. Like I just like,
this is too funny.
Yeah,
you used to be like, Eric, loosen up.
Yeah.
Swear to God, we be in Miami. You be like, bruh,
you need to calm down. And now people are like, you need to calm down.
Like this is factual.
This is real.
Because I used to be like, man, no, I gotta.
Yeah.
And then you just be like, relax.
No, you can't.
Why?
Because it's too much going on. Like you're responsible for everything. Like, I mean, yeah, you're delegating, but you still have to have your eye on the mark. And it's like, when you are running a business and it's growing, it's a lot of pressure to keep that momentum going.
You got 14 salaries.
Yes. And it's like, and then, you have the 14 salaries, but then you're dealing with all of the different personalities that come with being a business owner and being a leader. So now, that's what it's about for me. Fine-tuning my leadership skills.
How are you doing that?
I have a leadership coach.
Gotcha. How'd you land that? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I also have a financial advisor because, coming from my upbringing, I was never privy to the amount of money that I have now. And so if you're not used to it, you don't know what to do with it. So I have a financial advisor, and my financial advisor connected me with my leadership coach. And so now it is about learning how to lead a team, and how to keep them excited about what's going on. And
could you share something that you've learned from your leadership coach that could impact me or anybody listening that is an entrepreneur, just a quick tip, like something that, you've learned that you've applied?
One of the things that stood out in our last meeting that I had with her was just how, and I'm sure people know this, but how much your upbringing, how you view the world, the things that have affected you, how all of those things play a role in your leadership abilities. So, for me, I grew up in an environment where I dealt with a lot of trust issues. So, in my life today, I deal with a lot of trust issues. Now, that plays out in my business because I might ask too many questions. You know what I mean?
You be probing like your boy, somebody cheating on you, huh?
Yeah, you know what I mean, or something like something
I'm
like
teasing,
that.
But you
get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's like it's unlearning all of these things that made you who you were, but big. They cannot play a role in this new world that you have.
That's big.
So that was a huge thing for me.
Take self-awareness too, because sometimes we do it unconsciously.
Yes, huge level of self-awareness. And that's another thing too, being in a leadership role, having to maintain self-awareness at all times. That's major. And then to still be someone who still battles with depression. All of these things, because people think like, yeah, you making money and you're wearing this and you go there and it's I have never been as much stressed as I am in my life now. Now I'm thankful, but the responsibility is different.
Got you. So how do you cope with whenever you feel depressed? How do you cope with that?
Yeah. So I mean, you still, maintain a healthy lifestyle, but I do lean quite a bit on my therapist.
I seen you go live one time.
Yeah.
And then leave it up. You know what I mean? So I took a little bit of vulnerability. Why'd you do that?
I think it's important for people to know your story so that they can understand who you are. And so, up until this point, I feel like not many people that know the J Scope brand, they don't know me. Now that was by design because I got to a point where I really did not want to be at the forefront anymore.
You talked about that. You was like, man, I like the back seat.
I love being behind the scenes at this point in my career. But it's important for people to understand the why behind the brand. It's so easy to just be like, this is this company and, it is what it is. But, J Scope was birthed out of me changing my life. It wasn't just to sell a product. The byproduct of that was the product selling. But at the core of this brand, it was created because I needed an outlet to save myself from the things that I was battling. So our core values is the, meditation, journaling, eating properly, and dieting. That's the sauce of the brand. Well, we sell a product, you know what I mean? And also really understanding, because primarily my audience is African American women and Latina women. And, a lot of us don't work out. A lot of us, we're not very active. We're more active than we've ever been, but we're still kind of behind. And so having a business like this is bigger than just that product,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Man.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Gotcha. And you will never, ever have a partner in business ever again. That's too funny to me.
No, I don't think. I mean, now maybe because I understand business more, right? I got
operating agreements in between.
Yeah, but never will I do it like that again. Gotcha. But I'm thankful for the lesson though.
Gotcha.
Thankful for the lesson. Yeah.
So you're doing well for yourself. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm gonna give you some flowers while you're on here. You know what I mean? Nothing physical.
Whatever.
I'm gonna give you some flowers. But I want to tell you that I appreciate you as a friend for coming down. But I think that what people don't know, and I don't think you know, you talk about dark spots. I'm not in a dark spot like that today, thank God. But there was a moment where I was losing the handle of my company, just because I had some issues with some individuals, and then financially, things changed in 17 as far as how YouTube work and the things I was leveraging. I was dating the devil.
Yes, you were.
Then
I was there.
And then then I got sick. And then I'm saying for me, so I was losing money. I was emotionally not okay. I was financially not okay. I didn't want to do nothing. You know what I'm saying? And so you know what I mean? Like, you would call every morning and say, "You up, King? I appreciate you." It was big.
Thank you.
I love you for that. You took me to Miami. It was like, let's go. Because I was supposed to be in Miami and I wasn't going. You know what I mean? So I appreciate it. You look past it. You know what I'm saying? And we never talk about that.
Yeah.
Just because at the end of the day, I had to get up and do what I needed to do and push. But you would just text. You text about 2 months straight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I just need to tell you I thank you. I'm grateful for it. You know what I mean? I never have. I mean, I told you thank you, but I think it's different than to tell you right here. You know what I'm saying? Because you bougie in the mug now. You got a makeup artist, you know what I'm saying? But I think that you need to know that you was important to me. And you played a pivotal part. It just, because I ain't talk. And I don't talk. I just don't do certain stuff. And so, like, I was just to myself, but you just knew I was going through it. And you know what I mean? Like, you backed off after a while when you seen I was getting back to myself.
You got your mojo back.
And then you was just like, I see you coming back.
Yep.
And you know what I'm saying? So, I appreciate you. And I think that you need to know that, you are a part of why I'm here today.
That's beautiful. You have always been someone that I hold so close to my heart.
Appreciate it.
And I'd admired the work that you had done with the brand, and I'm just like, you was my nigga, you know what I mean? Like, you was my, like, I genuinely, and still do to this day, like, wanted to see you at your best at all times. And we all hit those those levels in our life where things is just not where it needs to be, and we don't feel like ourselves. And I think for me, I recognize that, especially a high energy like you, like, no, I'm being honest, you know what I mean? And
I just get that a lot here lately.
In that time, like, I knew something was really wrong, because it was not like you know.
We was at dinner.
Yeah.
And you was just like, damn, she got you fucked up.
She did, man. Now that's another podcast.
Yeah. But no, man, I just wanted to tell you that I thank you. That was probably one of the lowest lows in my life. You know what I'm saying? Losing my hair.
Yeah.
Just, physically looking different. Financially, going from such a peak to a low, and not knowing what to do.
Yeah.
And then, so I think that, it was just important. Like I said, I wasn't going on a trip. It was already paid for, and he was like, "Oh, we going." You know what I'm saying? I'll meet you down there, whatever. But it was that day, he was like playing all kind of mess, and it was just important. And I don't I never talked about it, but that was a turning point for me.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't know that.
And today, you got a whole boat.
Ah!
Like it's been a couple years since that.
Yeah.
But when I say you bounced back.
Yeah.
You bounced back.
Yeah. Just, and I think that the main thing is really mentally. It's everything. It's mental, you know what I'm saying? And so we talked about different things I have going on. And we talked about some real big players in the space of even podcasting that you declined. And then, you know what I mean, just to understand that you're in my seat, I appreciate it.
Well, I didn't I don't want to say I declined, but I was scared.
Yeah.
I was nervous.
It's all good, but just to calm down and just kick in with me, like, I'm grateful.
Yeah, but we gotta we kind of tied for life. You know what I mean?
As I stated, we kind of grew up together here.
We grew up together. We did, and I thank you for your mentorship. Because there was a level of mentorship.
It was brutal,
but what I thank you the most for is the fact that you comfortably let me sit as your peer now. That's important. You know, you taught me so much. You know, and I'm forever indebted to you for that. I mean, I've said it before. Like, he really taught me the game. Like you were like sensei, and so that moment, you know, was really the least I could do. You know,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, because those conversations are just that one conversation of you gotta quit. It changed my life. You don't know how like those what you feel like is a minuscule moment. It's a millisecond in time. Like you just like, oh, you gotta quit. You know, it just rolls off of you. But for me, it was like this is everything, and it changed my life. It did.
That's dope.
So here are your flowers.
There it is. Yeah. There it is. So, man.
Is this the first time he cried?
Hey, bro. What is going on here? Hey, thank you for watching another episode of the First Generation Wealth Builders. Tell a friend and tell a friend, man. Subscribe. You know what I mean? Share it. Again, I appreciate it. Appreciate you watching. Thank you for coming, Miss Jasmine.
Thank you, E, and best of luck to you.
All right, till next time. This